There are shows with psychics.
And there are shows with doctors.
But there's no show like The Psychic and the Doc.
Your practical paranormal power unleashed.
This show synthesizes the talents of world-class medium Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer,
and street smart spiritualist, behavioral psychologist, Dr. Pat Baccili. All subjects are on the table and no topic is taboo. Inspiration, insight,
action, and fun as Mark Anthony connects callers with loved ones in spirit.
In tandem with Dr. Pat's fresh, no-nonsense, street-smart, intuitive insights. And she is hilarious.
Extraordinary problems
require extraordinary solutions, which may come from this side
or the other side. This is The Psychic
and the Doc. And it starts now. Welcome, everybody, to The Psychic and the Doc. This is our last show for the month of May. Of course, we'll be back next week at the first week of June. We have a really fun theme tonight, Lingo of the Flamingo. But before we get into that, I'm here with the amazing Dr. Pat Baccili, and she is the founder of the Transformation Network. She's been the host of the long-running and ongoing The Dr. Pat Show. And TTN, the Transformation Talk Radio Network, is expanding rapidly, and Dr. Pat will fill us in on more of that. So, Dr. Pat, we came up with the Lingo of the Flamingo, and probably a lot of our listeners are like, what? But today is actually National Flamingo Day.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Who knew? Who knew?
Okay. So I got a burning question. You're going to walk us through the history of this, aren't you, Mark? It's great to be here. How does somebody like me growing up in the Bronx be extremely fond of flamingos? I've got 2 plastic ones in my backyard. Linda made me move them from my front yard here while she's staying here. But how do we get so drawn and attached to them? And it was interesting for me to think about this. And there had to be somebody in my family that also was like that. But here's the question. You ready?
I'm ready.
What if I told you, would you believe me? And I want everybody to prove me wrong because I don't know if this is true. Flamingos are the only pink birds in existence.
No. In fact, where Rocky lives in Central Florida, there's the spoonbill. And the spoonbill, they have this, spoon-shaped bill, and they're pink as well. And it's a real trip because we were taking a walk not too long ago. We're looking at, what's that weird-looking pink bird? Oh, yeah, a spoonbill. But a flamingo is certainly the most well-known pink bird. Spoonbills are pretty rare overall. I mean, they may be just sort of isolated in the southeast. And flamingos, like in Florida, it's a thing. Flamingos are here, especially in South Florida. I mean, it's hard when you think of Miami Beach and South Beach, Miami. Flamingos are kind of a thing, and then people are enamored with them because they're beautiful and they're interesting looking birds. We were talking before we went on air, and I looked it up, and a flock of flamingos is officially known as a flamboyance. And it's like, now that is interesting, because you always hear about when someone's referred to as being flamboyant.
Yes.
They're like a real dashing and outrageous dresser, or, sometimes it's used as a cut to men that are, members of the gay community. But the word flamboyance, because the truth of the matter is you can't really miss a flock of flamingos. I mean, there's this huge pink flock of birds flying right at you, and they're very social creatures. And I understand that the reason they're pink is because of what they eat, which is largely shrimp. And
that's my question.
Yeah, they get the chemicals from what they eat, just as the spoonbill does. So there's certain animals or birds that feed on shrimp, and the chemicals that they ingest from the shrimp, it gives them their pink color.
Okay. What I consider to be one of the longest running shows in modern time, not like 1930, whatever. But what was one of the longest running shows that really made flamingos popular?
That one I don't know. So what
CSI,
is?
CSI Miami.
Oh, well, there you go. That makes sense. Because I remember Miami Vice. It's funny seeing
Yeah,
Don
yeah.
Johnson on Dr. Odyssey, the kind of the Love Boat reboot in a way.
Oh, God.
Because I remember,
Ah!
yeah, Miami Vice, everyone wore the cool clothes. And the reason I'm wearing this shirt, I don't have any pink shirts, the closest I had. So I figured for Flamingos, I'd wear a red shirt. But yeah, CSI Miami, because that's that whole South Florida look. South Florida is kind of a world unto itself. It's known for fashion. If you ever really want to feel bad about your body and your self-image, go to South Beach, Miami, and watch all the bodybuilders and the models. And the thing is, it's in the winter months that modeling agencies from the world over they winter in South Beach, Miami, and they do a lot of photo shoots there. And you go down there, and it's like, what? Seriously? Are all these people photoshopped? But it's really a trip, and you see the tropical styles and the fashion, and then of course the flamingos, images of them, and the real thing are all over the place. So if you're ever in Florida and you visit the Miami area, South Beach, Miami is different than Miami Beach or Miami. It's its own town, and
It really is.
yeah, it is. And it's also the largest concentration of Art Deco buildings in the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And there's whenever I go down there, if you go to gosh, I'm trying to remember if it's the library or the city hall, but the visitor center, they have walking tours of the Art Deco district. It's like, $4 or $5 a ticket. And it's really fascinating because you get to go in a lot of the hotels and the Art Deco buildings, and really it's like going back in time to the 1920s, to the elegance of the Art Deco era. So I highly recommend that.
So, on another note, get ready. I think this is the latest information. Get ready for more flamingos on TV as they are considering CSI Miami reboot. Now, why that show went off the air? It was so fascinating. The tempo and the cast so fit Miami. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Unlike CSI New York, where I really expected, the cheap people to be more New Yorkish, right? But the reason that the whole CSI franchise took such an amazing take on people was the personalities. And so the Flamingos, Miami, that whole vibe. And then David Caruso, who, OMG, right? I mean, we all knew him from Hill Street Blues, went off to do that. And there was no other personality that I could think of that was so charismatically deadly
Wow.
as the cop guy, right?
Yeah.
But you see, all of a sudden, flamingos became known subliminally. See, that's what I love about advertising. People, I'm going to talk about this. Like, don't email me. I don't love all advertising. As a matter of fact, I cannot watch ads on TV. But advertising inspires people in some way. And more people decided to go to Miami because they thought Miami was like the show. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just like y'all. The only show that truly represented the place that it was Hawaii
Miami Vice.
5-0. Miami Vice. Hawaii 5-0. Or what was the other Hawaiian one with what's Magnum? Magnum PI.
Magnum PI, yeah.
Yeah. But flamingos are revered in so many ways.
Yeah.
And they're elegant, aren't they?
Yeah, they're elegant, they're beautiful. I mean, when you see flamingos, they're not a problem. It's cool. It's chic, and they do, and it evokes imagery of South Florida and the tropics. And yeah, they're just amazing creatures. And so when we were coming up with the theme for the show, we always look at like, what's going on. It was like, really? There's a National Flamingo Day. So we thought Lingo of the Flamingo, cool, progressive. But I want to bring up something else too in the
Sure.
news. I'm a history buff,
Yes, you are.
I am. And on Sunday, and it was just announced today, the last living grandson of President John Tyler. He was the 10th president of the United States. Okay. Trump is number 47. So whoa. 10th president. John Tyler, President Tyler was born in 1790. And he was vice president for William Henry Harrison. And he's the president that died like 2 months into office with pneumonia. And so all of a sudden, John Tyler was president, and he wrapped up his presidency in 1845. Whoa. So he has a grandson who just died at age 96. And people are like, well, how did that happen? Okay. Because let's face it. Tyler left office 179 years ago.
Wow.
Okay. Well, what it was, John Tyler had two wives, and his second wife
What do you mean he had two? Wait a minute.
well, his first
in
wife
the
died.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I was just going to say.
Right. No, he wasn't like that.
Okay.
But
Well,
he was a slave owner, unfortunately, and he was in Virginia, and unfortunately, that is a real negative stain on our history. But what happened was, when his first wife died, he remarried to a 24-year-old woman, and then he fathered children like in his 60s. And then
that's like my dad.
Yeah.
That's my dad.
And then his son did the same thing, which is why from John Tyler being a senior citizen father, and then his son, or one of his sons, he had like 13 children. One of his sons was also a senior citizen father. And so that's how his name is Harrison Ruffin Tyler, and he's really kind of a cool guy. He was an environmentalist. He worked on preserving the Sherwood Forest in Virginia, Fort Pocahontas, safe water. He was a champion of history and preserving historical monuments and nature. And he passed peacefully on Sunday at the age of 96. But the idea that a grandson of a president who left office 15 years before the Civil War started is kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah. And we're going to go to break, because part of what we do is we have these conversations. Somebody asked me, what are you and Mark doing when you're talking? Well, it's not what we're doing. It's what the producers are doing to have all the amazing people on hold now, because we've got your calls in. Stephanie, Crystal, Kathy, Sarah, we're going to get right to you. But I want to leave y'all with this one thought we don't have time to talk about today, but I'll try to weave it in. Aries, Saturn entered Aries on the 25th. Now, it has been a long time, like decades, for that to happen, like a long time. So today, are you ready for encouraging bold decisions? Are you ready for transits that could lead to collective transformation, leadership? But the importance of this is y'all going to work. We all going to work. It emphasized the importance of hard work, dedication, and rewarding those who are willing to put the effort to achieve their goals. For some of us, we're like, why? More. You want us to do more. Okay, Mark, we'll do more. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back, everybody. We're going right to the phones. We're back. What is that? I'm home. Okay, that was a scary movie right there, that thing. Welcome back to The Psychic and the Doc. And Mark, before we go to the phones, because we always forget, for you, how do we find out more about you? How do they follow you? You're doing so many things. I actually met a friend of yours that was down in Arizona someplace doing great things, but how do we find you and follow you? Not to stalk you, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, please don't stalk me. I've had enough with stalkers. Please visit my website, which is afterlifefrequency.com, just like my latest book, Afterlife Frequency. And I invite everyone to sign up for my newsletter. You can find out about scheduling a private reading for me. And coming up on June 7th and 8th is the Spiritual Awakenings International online conference. I'm speaking on Sunday, June 8th at 5 p.m. Eastern. And this is a free online conference. So please go ahead and sign up. There's 40 speakers from 12 different countries. There's some really amazing topics. My topic is reincarnation. Deja vu, who were you? That's the title of my talk, and I'm going to be getting into the science of reincarnation and some really cool case studies. And I've got a whole lot of other events coming up that you can find out about by signing up for my newsletter. So Dr. Pat, and all that's at afterlifefrequency.com. Dr. Pat, what do you say we go to the phones?
I'm going to turn it over to Nat. Come on, Nat. You're in control now.
All right. Our first caller today is going to be Stephanie, who called in last week, and we're going to her first. Yeah. If we have so many callers, if we don't get to you today, call in next week. We'll put you on first. So Stephanie, welcome to the show. Stephanie is from California, and you're on with the psychic and the doc right now. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Yeah, I mean, I can't beat that introduction, Stephanie. It's great to have you. How can we help you today?
Thank you. Well, in addition to wanting to know if anyone on the other side might have a message for me,
hang on.
I can't possibly do a reading.
Hang on 1 minute. Nat, do you hear the waffling? Is that the phone or?
Yes, Stephanie, can you try and just make sure you're speaking clearly into your phone?
Yeah, your phone is, I call it waffling. That is not the right
distorted.
term.
It's terribly distorted.
Yeah.
Take off the earbuds, take it off speakerphone. You got to use your handset, turn off the speakers on your computer. And the reason, Stephanie, I cannot possibly do a reading with that type of interference because it creates a block with the electromagnetic connection to the other side.
Yeah. So, Stephanie, try again.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
You get the golden flamingo.
Yay.
How can we help you?
In addition to wanting to know if anyone on the other side might have a message for me, I had a few questions about Dr. Pat's and Mark's abilities. Specifically, I wanted to know, I was wondering, first I'll start with my two questions for Mark. Is Mark able to see colored auras?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I see auras. My mom taught me how to see auras when I was in high school. So I've been looking at auras my whole life.
I dated an aura.
Because I know different colors are associated with, different personalities and things like that.
Well, so yes, and we could do an entire show on that. If you go
it's a good question.
If you go to go to Best Holistic Life magazine, bestholisticlife.com, go to the January, I think it's 2024 issue. I wrote an article about auras and seeing auras and the significance of the colors. So you may want to check that out because that's a great question, Stephanie, but it's a very long answer.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the problem is, and Dr. Pat knows this about me, when you ask me what time it is, I tend to tell you how to build a clock.
Yeah. But his ability, to answer your question about abilities, it is hard in this short time we have to explain it. When you meet someone like Mark, beyond being able to connect with the other side, there's a body of work that he does to help all of us rise up. And it comes in different forms. It comes in events. What about the circles you run? So
yeah, the light circles.
yes.
And yeah, there's all events. I mean, I'm speaking at so many conferences. I brought up Spiritual Awakenings International because that's the next one coming up. Then in July, I'm going to be at Body, Mind, and Soul in Houston.
Oh,
And
nice.
then in August, I'm going to be at the Wisdom of Light Conference in Punta Gorda, Florida. Then at the International Association for Near-Death Studies in Chicago. Then we're going to San Diego for a conference. And then there's going to be the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, and the Mediumship Summit in Virginia Beach at the Edgar Cayce Association for Research and Enlightenment. And that's going to be in November. So I'm doing a lot of traveling. And in between, of course, I'm doing the Psychic and the Doc every week and writing for Best Holistic Life and doing a lot lot of stuff.
Yeah,
And
playing with the flamingos.
Yeah, meanwhile, Dr. Pat's running an entire radio network and hosting 2 different shows and managing at least like 2 dozen or more other shows on transformation.
Yeah, we really are. But in terms of ability, I'm going to give you the short answer and we can talk about it more. I'm what you call neurodiverse. Have you heard that term? Neurodiverse?
I have heard of it.
Yeah, we used to be called slow and different. Yeah, we used to be called slow and different and you can't read. Okay, so they've given us now a really cool term. Now, I'm one of the people that has a very specific autistic trait. So many people don't know this. There are many levels on the spectrum. And once you get put into a category, and that happened to me late in life because I had a blackout, a near death, and that led me to a year of research. So the bottom line with me is I have something fascinating that made me barely able to graduate high school. But by the time I got to a doctoral program in a show like this, there were things I could do. So what happens is when you speak and when Mark is speaking with you and he's sharing things from the other side, my brain takes all of that and puts it into a pictorial journal. So then when you get to me, that shows up in the way I can see things, right? See things, both intuitively, but cognitively. So my answers sometimes go into directions that you don't think, because when Mark shares, I see something different. And that's the simplest way to explain it. But the meantime is that little autistic thing made me an award-winning researcher. So go figure, right? How can we help you today? Do you want to connect with someone? Oh, and by the way, yes, my brand that's coming out is Unstuckable, and you're going to hear more about that.
Okay, that sounds great.
All right, Stephanie, you're back to being all garbled.
No, I think it's the frequency. I think it's the vibes. Stephanie, what else can we help you with? Well, thank you for those questions, by the way. We don't really talk about ourselves.
Yeah, it's we're happy to do that, but we're here to help other people. Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, I have been in the closet about that little what people used to call a defect for decades, and I came out and decided I needed to support the autism community. Thank you, Ben Affleck, for the movie The Accountant. How else can we help you?
I think that's wonderful. I wanted to know if when Mark feels the ailments of deceased people, how long does that feeling last, and does it take a toll on his body?
It's just a sensation. When I first started working in earnest with mediumship, it was really, really intense. And I realized to tell the spirits, look, you can just give me like a jab here or there. You don't need to give me the full impact. And there is, and I, with my colleagues in England at Arthur Findlay College for the Advancement of Psychic Science, we had a lengthy discussion about clairsentience, which is what that aspect of the sixth sense is. And there's no cellular damage to me. It's merely a physical sensation. It's one of the ways spirits communicate. But spirit communication is very draining, and really, I think most mediums would agree you shouldn't really do more than 2 or 3 hours of it a day, just because it's exhausting. It's like telling an athlete, all right, you just got done running a marathon. Why don't you run another one? It's like, you need to rest and recharge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I feel bad for you sometimes. It feels
Oh,
feels
no,
awful.
no, no.
He's
Like, it
really
feels awful.
trained in it. You should feel bad for me because I'm not trained in it. And this is what happens to me. I'm an empath. And so on this show, I have to use my mind, my brain. And you've heard me cry during the shows because I'm not used to what Mark does. And so when something happens like that, especially suicide because of my mom's suicide, there's something that happens to me emotionally, but I got to tell you, I hold my composure most of the time because we're here for the callers. And so we try to be as objective. Is that the word, Mark? Objective?
Yeah, we try to be objective. We have to maintain that professional objectivity. It's like when people say the doctor at the hospital, they seem so cold and calculated, and my mother was bleeding out and and all this. But do you really want the professionals that are handling a serious situation to be so overcome with emotion that they cannot clearly and logically do their jobs? And it's the same thing with Dr. Pat and I, even though what we're dealing with is very emotional and intense situations. Like when I feel physical sensations, this is how a spirit, usually when they come in, I get their gender, an idea of the relationship to you, and then they oftentimes go into how they pass, because these are all identifiers. Okay. So it doesn't, there's no harm to me. It's just an identifier. And what makes this show so unique, and I love the way you described and explained that, Dr. Pat, and autism is not a defect, it's a variant, and in many ways an enhancement, particularly in for people like you, because when you are seeing things in pictures and then extrapolating that into discernible information that you can explain, that is truly a gift. Some of the greatest minds in history, we would now describe them as Asperger's syndrome, which is the highly functioning form of autism, which I think if there was a diagnosis for you would be that. Okay.
Yeah. I'm called, here's what I am. There's a fancy name. I'm not going to repeat it, but I have what you call Gestalt perception. And y'all can Google it. But, my kind of thing is greater in older life. But I will tell you this, passing tests in school. Can you imagine taking a physics test or taking some kind of math test? Because you see images, you can't see the equations, right? Because your mind turns them into pictorial. Well, I'm grateful I graduated high school. That's a story for another day. Is there anything else we can help you with?
Yeah, because we do, Stephanie, I know
there's anyone with a message.
Yeah, let me see if we can do this quickly, because we do have a lot of other people on the line.
And thank you for your questions.
Yeah, definitely. 3, 4, 5, picking up on 5 people. There's a male energy stepping forward. He feels like he's on, could be the father, could be the grandfather level. What I get with this guy, pretty laid back dude. I see him, he's wearing a white t-shirt. Okay. And a lot of times the way they depict themselves with clothes, in other words, when he was off of work, this guy was laid back. But I'm getting this sharp pain in his head prior to passing. Now, this could be high blood pressure. This could be a stroke, but I'm getting this, oh my God, overwhelming pain, and I feel very, very nauseated. Now, the nausea indicates difficulty with eating and or holding down food prior to his physical death, but this could also be a cancer indicator. But man, I am feeling it in the head, and I'm feeling lumps throughout his brain. So this does feel like he may have had tumors in his head and his brain. Once again, though, these lumps could also be areas where there was electrical disturbances, meaning a stroke. Is there anybody on your either the father generational level or grandfather that died kind of middle age?
We have lost connection with Stephanie.
Okay, we'll let that go. Let's go to our next caller then.
Thank you, Nat.
All right, our next caller is going to be Crystal. Crystal from Arizona. Crystal, welcome to The Psychic in the Dark. You are on right now with Mark and Pat. Welcome to the show, Crystal.
Hey, thank you, Crystal. How can we help you tonight?
Hi, Mark. Hi, Dr. Pat.
How are you?
I'm calling in because Good. I've had two share death experiences, one 15 years ago and one recently.
Wow.
Both of the people committed, they
Take your time.
suicide,
Take your time.
and they decided to lay themselves down to rest. And so I'm just trying to understand the shared death experience, because the first one that happened 15 years ago, I just kind of blew it off. I was just like, wow, I knew it happened, but I just never really talked about it or asked or even did any research. The second one that happened in January, I started looking up near-death experiences and trying to figure out the message that I got that day. And I just finished reading your book, Evidence of Eternity, Mark, and it definitely helps a lot.
Thank you.
But
was the person in January
message,
was the person in January a female?
No.
What about the one 15 years ago? Is that a female? Because I'm picking up on a female spirit connected to you.
No.
Well, hold on.
They were both
In
male.
my book, The Afterlife
That could be my
Frequency,
mom.
hold on. I go into the no syndrome, so you want to be careful about shooting everything down, but I'm glad that you clarified, because both the shared death experiences were males. However, it is a female spirit that wants to talk to you, okay? And she keeps showing me emeralds and rubies. Emerald, let me go through all this before you respond. Emeralds are the birthstone for the month of May, and what that can indicate, Crystal, is a significant birth, death, anniversary, or event which could be connected to you in any way. And by being connected to you, that could be connected to you or someone close to you, either planet Earth or in spirit within May, births, deaths, anniversaries, or events. Rubies are also the birthstone for the month of July. So that could be a birth, death, anniversary, or event connected to you or someone close to you within the month of July. Now, the cool thing about emeralds is it's also a trigger for a variation on the name Mary, Marie, Margaret, Marilyn, Marianne, and July can be a variation on Julie or Ruby or Rudy. Okay, is there anything there?
Well, July is my birthday.
Well, that's a yes. Okay. All right. So we got this. Now, what about the month of May or emeralds? And this could be a piece of jewelry of significance that you would recognize with an emerald in it. And I just keep getting question. Is anyone close to you Catholic? That's either a yes or no.
Yeah, my mother was Catholic. Yes.
Your mother
yes,
was. Okay. The reason I asked that is because May is dedicated to Mary, the mother of Jesus. And once I got you confirmed that July is your birth date, I saw an image of Mary, the mother of Jesus. And I know that's the month of May. And your mother, your mother was connected to May, correct? Or Mary? Is that what you said?
Is May your birthday?
Really connect anybody.
No.
No, I don't know anybody.
What's the connection with your mother and Catholicism or Mary?
She was Catholic. She went to Catholic school.
All right, that's what I need. Hold on. Sorry, Crystal, I don't mean to cut you off, but what it is, we got to move as quickly as we can. It's got to get to as many people as possible.
Sure.
So, long story short, I got your mom here. Don't overthink things. Go with what hits you first, okay? And when I start giving a list of things, it's only because one image can have several different meanings. Is there a George, a Jordan, a Jaden, or some association with Georgia with you in any way? And the reason for this is your mother's making me taste the most delicious peaches. And that can mean maybe you love peaches, hate peaches, or she did, or peaches I associate with the state of Georgia, which could be, visits there, connections there, or a variation on the name Georgia, Jordan, Jaden, something like that.
A Julian. I don't know.
That'll work. All right. Who's Julian?
My son.
And is he here on planet Earth?
No.
Is he one of the ones you had the shared death experience with?
Yeah.
You see what's happening? Your mother came through first to establish contact with me, and she's bringing through Julian. Okay. And so he is here now. And with him, I feel once again a pressure build up. I don't mean once again, but I'm feeling a pressure build up in my head, and I'm feeling a dizzy disorientation. So what was going on with him prior to passing is something was affecting his mental focus or clarity. It could be an illness, it could be a medication. I'm also getting a sense of dehydration. That may mean he may not have been eating or drinking prior to passing, or something was going on where there was a dehydration. How did your, if you don't mind my asking, and you don't have to go into great detail, how did your son pass? What was the cause of passing?
Asphyxiation.
Okay, so that would tie into with the dizzy disorientation, because when you're oxygen deprived, that's one of that. And then the dehydration could also be his throat being compressed. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. His message is very clear and very simple. It says, Mom, I'm fine. I'm fine. He said, all the pressure is gone from me. And the pressure is not a physical thing, it's a mental thing. He said, the pressure is gone. And he said, now I can truly see the light. And by truly seeing the light, I mean, I can see the divine power that we always questioned, yet it is there. And it is a light that resonates around us, through us, and within us. And he said, the light that I have shines within you as well. Wow, that's pretty intense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and that's the message I got that day when I arrived at the parking lot. He was talking to me, and at first I thought I was making it up. And we live in Arizona, and it hasn't rained here all winter. And
Wow.
it was at a Walmart parking lot, and they took me into a room for about an hour while they were finishing the investigation, and I begged them to please let me see his body before they took it. And the police said they would have to ask the coroner. And an hour later, they said, okay, they're going to bring him around back. And I walked out back, and there was a rainbow covering his body, the closest rainbow I've ever seen in my life. And it was so bright. And the police officer said, oh my God, that's from your son. And this is what has started me on this whole journey, was because I heard that message in the parking lot when he was speaking to me, and then the rainbow that was just phenomenal. Luckily I got pictures from people who live above Walmart of the rainbow, but then I started searching in the Bible about rainbows and death, and the Ezekiel 128 coincides with his death of 128, where it says the radiance of a rainbow surrounded him. And and
that's what he just said. Wow.
Yeah. So
if I may, if you found the evidence of eternity helpful, I know the afterlife frequency, my latest book, goes much deeper into the significance of the light and both the faith and science behind it. So I believe the afterlife frequency would be very helpful. Dr. Pat.
The only thing I want to say to you, because I just sense it, is I want you to take care of yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about it on air, but okay. So here's my sense of it. I don't like to do personal things on air, but I'm going to try to hint to it. You didn't cause this, right?
Yeah.
You really know it, correct?
No, I know it. He told
every
me
cell in your body. Every cell should be saying, I did nothing. This is all in the divine's time and a pathway that we'll try to understand, but you didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't believe I did. And he did tell me that day.
You didn't do it.
How sorry he was.
I'm not worried about him. See, my mom committed suicide.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah, my mom committed suicide. But what my sister carried the burden from my family around that. And there was nothing my sister could have done to stop my mom. She tried once, then the second time she just decided, I'm just going to light the house on fire. But you're clean then, right? You're able to say, I love myself.
I know. Yeah, I do. But I know Mark touched on in the book about suicide not being hereditary, because also my father and brother committed suicide. So now all 3 males in my life, all took their lives.
Yeah, well, you and I could be twins in a lot of ways, but this is really the hardest part. I want you to remember the following, and then I'll let you go. Each and every one of us has our own sacred contract here. Mm-hmm. Now, the question is, are you able to really get on with your life and do the things in life that you really want to do?
I don't know. I'm trying. That's the journey I'm on right now.
I knew it.
And I will get your next book, Mark.
Yeah, I'm less about the book. I'm not going to put Mark's books down because they're fabulous. I want you to kick yourself into action. So May, if I may, that came up. This is the month of an astrological phenomenon that happened. And what I mean by that is this Saturn thing, right, with Aries. This is about, can you tell me what sign you are? And I'll do this really quickly, Mark, and then we can move on. What sign are you? Are you
Cancer.
Virgo, Libra?
Cancer.
You're Cancer.
Cancer.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're the homebody, kind of. And so your inclination is to stay home. But you are in what we call a rite of passage. See, the way that this Aries Saturn thing affects you is this is an initiation for you, a rite of passage or initiation into authority leadership, but you have to ground yourself in self-trust. That's the missing link for you. And so what it's inviting you to do is to bring a definition to your purpose. You have to have a purpose, and your purpose is really not to grieve people that have left the planet. That's not your purpose. So you have to really look at setting a greater intention for yourself and do things that are uncomfortable rather than stay home. If you have the ability to go out, join a community or volunteer like Chicken Soup Brigade, make chickens for people. Mm-hmm. Think about doing that.
If I can, Crystal, I highly recommend helping parents heal. Mm. And Arizona has very active chapters, and it's wonderful because this way you won't have to go through this alone, and you'll be interfacing with parents who understand. And I do a lot of work. I'm on the board of directors of Helping Parents Heal. It's a beautiful organization, and it's a nonprofit. So go to helpingparentsheal.org and check it out. This would be perfect for you.
Yeah. But I want you to pick one thing you're going to do differently this week before you get off air. I need you to tell me one thing you're going to do differently this week that is going to allow yourself to have some fun. I don't care what it is. Play Legos or something. What would you do?
Go to the park with my dogs.
Do it. And then discipline yourself to do it at a certain time, a couple of times a week to start.
Okay.
That gives you joy. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mark.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, thank you, Crystal.
Thank you. Our heart goes out to all of you, really, that are calling into the show. I mean, you know, Mark and I are here to help. And sometimes, especially me, I may sound so clinical, but the bottom line is we really know and feel the agony of loss. And we're trying our best to give you a solution and help you. Who's next, Nat?
All right. Our final caller for today is going to be CJ from Texas. CJ, welcome to the Psychic and the Doc. You are on right now with Mark and Dr. Pat. Welcome to the show. CJ.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, how
Can you
are
guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm
Loud and
doing
clear.
good. I'm finally able to reach you guys.
You got
I was
it.
calling. I just wanted to see if who was gonna come through for me with any messages.
Okay.
I like that.
CJ, is your mom in spirit? Because I'm getting a maternal energy, and if it's not a mom, it could be an aunt or possibly a grandmother, but this is a female connected to you through your mother's side of the family.
I'm sure. I think it's not my mom's here. I think it might be her mom.
Okay. Was she older when she passed? And by older, like she could have easily been well into her 80s.
Yeah, early 80s.
Early 80s. Okay. All right. So I got an older lady here in her 80s. Let's see what she wants you to know. Okay. Um, this is interesting. She said you've undergone a lot of changes in the last year, and this is her words, you have finally started thinking for yourself, and you're not so dependent on the validation of other people. And she said, keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. She keeps repeating that. Does that resonate with you, CJ?
Yes,
There
it
you go.
does.
How
And
does it? How does it?
So about next month it'll be a year. I was voted out of a sorority that I had joined at my university, and ever since then I've kind of been on my own most of the time. So I haven't my social life has been a desert. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to run after people or try and go out there to try and find a friend or find somebody. So I just kind of in my own world since then, just focusing on school,
Well,
Hello?
that's good. Well, things like I was in a fraternity in college, and it was great at the time, and it was a social group and all that. But it's when I left college, it really didn't have any bearing on what I was doing anymore. I mean, I kept up with some of my friends, but high school reunions, there are some people that are so involved with that. And I went to the first two, like the 10th and the 20th, but then it's like they have no relevance for me. I don't need the validation of people that I didn't really like then. And when I saw them as they're older, I didn't really care for them much now. And what it taught me is life is like a play, and certain people come in the first act and then they leave, and you move to the second act and other people come in, and that's the journey of life. People are going to come in and leave, and so that sorority and that whole thing, you don't need that anymore. And I think that's what your grandmother was telling you. Dr. Pat, what do you think?
I think you're right about it. I mean, your focus is on school. Your focus is to move ahead. What do you think is keeping you a little bit stuck? And I don't think you're big stuck. I think you just got a tad. What do you think is holding you back? I understand you left your sorority. That's a big decision. You know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, I was voted out, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't feel, a lot of the times I didn't feel in place, or I didn't feel I was fully accepted as some other girls were.
Yeah.
So, it's something you can sense, like a sense, like, do these people, do they really want me here? Or are they just,
Yeah.
tolerating me?
Yeah.
And
I got to ask you one last question about it. Just one last question.
Mm-hmm.
How you handling that?
It was hard at first. It was definitely hard at first. There were a lot of things that were not fair, in the way of how that turned out. But it's kind of, I guess, and I'm not completely like, behind the window, because those people still go to the same campus as I do. But yeah, I guess I guess sometimes, like if maybe there's one of the members or one of the sisters on campus, and I'm, just walking around campus, I guess I don't want to run into them, or I don't want them to
there we
see
go.
me.
Yeah, that's
And
what I
one
was
of the
trying to get
members,
at.
the girl who was the president of the chapter at the time, she was in one of my classes this semester, and we didn't really talk or wave at all. So because I didn't want to reopen that wound again, that emotional wound.
Yeah. So I want to leave you with a message. Take it from somebody that has been kicked out of a lot of things, including Catholic boarding school. The hardest thing to do, I mean, I've been fired from every job I ever have. Hello, right? The hardest thing to do is to hold your head up high, and I want you to do it. I don't want you to hide from people on the campus. You're going to school. You need to have the complete fulfillment, because what you're doing, not everybody can do. You really need to really look at not having these people impact you and keep your head up high. Some days you're the windshield, some days you're the bug. But my lesson this week for myself is someday you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And when there's something not right energetically or cosmically or even intuitively for you, the universe will step in and give you the freedom. And that's what happened. And you should hold your head up high. Don't let anybody drag your face in the mud or any of that. You walk with your head up high. You got it?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do not hide from people on that campus.
And you know what, CJ? Maybe this happened. This was a gift, because you're not the type of person that needs to be a member of the flock. You need to fly on your own path. And I think that's what Dr. Pat is telling you. And so if you see these people, just smile and be pleasant. I like what Oscar Wilde said. He goes, living well is the best revenge. So go be CJ, be successful, kick butt in class. And then Winston Churchill said, so what if you have enemies? All that means is you stood up to somebody sometime in your life. So CJ, you are the captain of the ship, not these girls. And let me tell you, when I was in a fraternity, we had a lot of dealings with sororities. I think they did you a favor.
Yeah. You need to know that whatever that was, something about them was holding you back. Now you can be your true free self. Got it?
Yeah, that's definitely how it was kind of like a epiphany type thing where I was like, I don't want to try and fit in with people anymore. I'd rather be lonely than be unhappy. You know what I mean?
We do know. Thank you so much, really, for calling in. That is the message for everybody today. All y'all out there got to hold your head up high. You got to hold it up high, because, none of these people are your source. Not a one. Mark, final message.
I want to thank everybody for calling in, and for the people we didn't get to. We will be back next week on The Psychic and the Doc. And everybody enjoy the lingo of the flamingo on National Flamingo Day. And, as our last caller exemplified, be your own self. Don't be part of the flock. Soar on your own.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into The Psychic and the Doc with Mark Anthony and me, Dr. Pat Baccili, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Hey, look, come back next week so we can explore with you more of life's many challenges and learn from fascinating guests. And you know what? Even Mark and me. We'll connect you and discover insights from people in this life and from the afterlife. Extraordinary problems? Yeah, they do. They require extraordinary solutions. But step into the world of possibilities with us on The Psychic and the Doc. That's every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. That's TransformationTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, we're also live face-to-face on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio.